Hello, everybody. I see we've got 6 people in the room so far. We are going to hang around until at least 25 to for the late starters. If you look carefully, you'll see Tracy's in the room and David is in the room. I will introduce David in a bit. The meeting hasn't officially started yet, so please hang in there while the rest of the people come in. And somebody wants to talk to me. That's interesting. Ah, Saskia. Hello, Saskia. Let's get her in the room. Hey, Saskia, how you doing? Okay, ladies and gents, just so as you know, the mics are open, so you can open your mics if you want to chat. Your cameras aren't, but mics are open. We're anticipating somewhere around 40 people today. Thank you. Ah, Saskia, you can put your mic on, Saskia. You don't have to sort of write me a letter. Okay, all right. So we're seeing more people coming in now. Yep. Oh, somebody's recording this. Cool. You do know that we're recording it anyway. You don't have to record it yourself. But I've let Read AI in.
Yeah, it's the standard, though. Standard. Mine also records every session.
Is it? Okay, well, there you go, Trace. Thanks for those words. We're now dead on time, folks. We've got, give or take, 10 people in the room, which is awesome. We're going to give it another minute or 3 for everybody else to come in. And then, David, we will kick off, my friend.
Fantastic.
You've gone sightless again. I don't know what you look like again.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting.
Are you hiding away from me so you don't want to scare the people off? Thank you, mate.
I have this theory, exactly. Oh, there we go. Put it on mute. Darn. Influence and persuasion. Always give people 100% of your attention and then forget to put your phone on silent.
Okay, thanks for reminding me. Folks, we're 1 minute in. We're going to give it a couple more minutes, okay? Hang in there. Says he while he grabs his phone furiously and looks for the silent button. Yes, that's right, notifications. Right, now at least we won't have that happen. Okay, I see we're up to 11, 12. Awesome. More and more people coming in, starting to see names that I recognize. Okay, to remind everybody, the mics are open, but you can certainly use the Q&A and you can certainly use the chat if you want to talk to us. I will be monitoring both, and I will say that all over again in a minute or 3.
I think we must run a competition because there's a few people here that I've noticed have been to all of our sessions. I think we'll have to run a competition and do a prize.
I think we're overdue for that, Trace. We're going to have to figure out what the prize is going to be. Right?
Yeah.
First prize, an afternoon with David. Second prize, a whole day with David. And third prize, a lifetime with David.
Oh, is that
David,
the one?
You're giving a lot of time away.
Could you imagine spending a lifetime with me? I know the answer would be no. All you have to do is ask Helena. She spends a lifetime with me, and she already kind of, Does he ever stop analyzing people?
David, I've got to tell you, I think the ladies stick with us because they love us to bits, and we don't know why, and we should just be grateful and say thank you.
Absolutely. That's the secret. That's the secret to a happy life. 2 words: yes, dear.
I love that. Okay, where are we? 3 minutes in, and we've got 13 people in the room. Okay, I think we should probably start, because remember, ladies and gentlemen, those of us that are here, thank you so much for coming in. Otherwise, we wouldn't have anybody to talk to. But the rest of the folks, there are a lot of folks that can't make it today. So what they're waiting for is the recording. So Dave, you're on your best behavior, right? Because we are recording what you say. Eh?
Yes, I've heard so, and the boss threatened me with being well behaved because it's just an hour.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Just to reiterate, the chat's available and Q&A is available, but your microphones are live, so you can unmute and actually talk to us if you choose to. And if Dave's anything like me, he does like a little bit of chaos. Let me introduce you to Dave, who's going to talk to us about influence and persuasion. And his CV is fairly impressive, actually. Dave is our resident communication and presentation skills specialist. Most of Dave's adult life has been spent on radio, both as a presenter and as a station manager. He has worked at a variety of local radio stations, including 94.7, which is where I think I heard his voice for the first time. And as a master of neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, David's expertise is in helping others achieve unbelievable success through effective communication and persuasion skills. So we have a real expert in the room today. And I'm going to ask Dave if he's ready to go to start talking to us, which would be really cool. Dave, it's all yours, mate.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sean. All right, with your permission or without it, I'm going to switch my camera off. That way, when I start gesticulating wildly, you guys won't be subject to that. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you along with us. We're going to talk influence and persuasion today. Just to give you a little bit more, because I've been very lazy and I haven't updated my CV thing. So I'm also an Ericksonian hypnosis practitioner. I am a life coach. I am a business coach. I am a hypnotic and persuasive language practitioner, studied neuroscience and studied all sorts of other weird and wonderful bits and pieces. So the first thing that you're going to, just to put you at ease, no, I'm not going to hypnotize you today. All right, that costs extra and we need some more time. All right, so let's just see if I can get onto my screen. All right, so we're going to be talking a little bit today, and I'm going to try and squeeze a whole lot into an hour, okay? This is just the bones of a training that we do and that we do offer, which is the advanced communication and negotiation skills training. Also soon to be author, by the way. I need to blow my own trumpet more. So I've just finished writing a book on this whole thing. We're just busy finalizing all of that as well. So how do we build trust and rapport? Number one, rapport is not that wonderful Afrikaans newspaper, okay? What is rapport? So if we have a look at rapport and we have a look at it in terms of the way I would describe rapport, is that it basically means if you are like me, then I must like you. And think about this for a while, and it goes back, and I'm one of these strange people. I don't believe there's very much new under the sun. So we've all heard this whole concept of walk a mile in another man's shoes. And this speaks to, and we're going to get into this in just a little bit. Some people call it the monkey brain, some people call it the reptile brain, the amygdala, that's responsible for your fight or flight. So in terms of the communication and effective communication, when we talk about building rapport, we are looking at ways in which we can get other people to trust us, to like us. And why do they do that? So how many guys, think about this just amongst yourselves, how many of you have ever walked into a room and you've seen somebody across the room and you don't know why, but immediately think that person I could really get along with, and they look like a fantastic person. And on the other hand, you can see a person when you walk into a room and you go, no, there's just no ways. Okay, that is not my kind of person. Don't trust them. Okay, why do we do that? Where does that come from? And that comes from this part of our mind, and it's the amygdala, where we have this fight or flight. And back in the old days when we all lived in caves, part of this deciding how we were going to do things and how we were going to react is we did things, and I can break it down even further these days. We do things as human beings for two reasons, and to two reasons only, okay? We're either moving away from pain or we're moving towards pleasure, okay? And this is why a lot of people resist any kind of change, because status quo, okay, that reptile mind of ours is designed to keep us comfortable. It's designed to keep us in our comfort zone, okay? And that is so important. There's a story that I often like to tell, and part of what we do in terms of this persuasive communication is a lot of storytelling. And storytelling, again, when I get onto this next slide, I'll explain a little bit to that, but it bypasses this very critical part of our brains, and it just kind of dives straight in, and it bypasses all these defenses that we think we have, because we like to think we're incredibly rational people and we make rational decisions. And the fact of the matter is we aren't, and we don't. So people are in their comfort zones. It's cool. Nothing can happen to me here. And your brain's saying to you, you're safe. Okay. So why change? How many times? Okay. I can give you 100 different stories and talk about, people going, you can go and do a presentation and you think you've killed it. You knocked it out the park. And then afterwards you go, but you said you don't want to take product X, Y, Z. Why is that? Well, it's good enough for us. It works. And very often the reason they do that, it's good enough and it works, and there's no sort of sense of urgency, is because it's safe. Okay? If they do nothing, nothing's going to change. All right? And that's where this concept of fear comes in. I always like to tell people to, not to be shy to have a few horror stories up your sleeve. Horror stories, not traditionally like you think, but stories of, hey, I know somebody that's in X, Y, and Z industry, and they had a similar problem to yours, and sadly the guys didn't move with the times, make the change, and they're gone. Okay, you can think of, in our context, think of what's a very good example. If you think of the old days of taxis, when you had to phone a taxi, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, where have taxis gone? Gone for the most part. Why? Uber came up and they gave you a compelling reason to change. And that's part of what we need to do. So we need to understand people's needs, requirements, and we need to get them to change and to commit to that change. So if we think about our human brain, it's a lot like these Russian nesting dolls. Okay, so your neocortex, that's that big bit at the front, that's responsible for logic, and that's what we always think we operate with, because it's your higher mind, etc., etc. Okay, then we've got something called the limbic system, which is to do with your emotions. I've spoken briefly about the amygdala, your fight or flight. And think about this. If we didn't have that amygdala keeping us safe and sound when we were hundreds of thousands of years ago, and a saber-toothed tiger leapt out in front of you, and you didn't have time to sit there and use your logical mind and go, now, is that really a saber-toothed tiger? And if it is, what are the chances that he wants to eat me? Maybe I should stand still. Maybe I should. No, you don't have time. So that's where this amygdala jumps in and goes, fight or flight, buddy, that's it. And in terms of us interacting with people as well, there's a couple of other things that the amygdala does as well. In the old days, it was like when you were meeting another tribe, another group of people, it's responsible for thoughts like, can I work with these people? Can we work together? Okay. Can I beat them if we need to have a fight? Do I need to run away? And then one that drives a lot of human behavior. Can I make babies with them? So that's the amygdala. The limbic system is where storytelling comes in. Because by telling stories and telling compelling stories, you bypass that neocortex. You bypass that logical side. Okay? And that's where you appeal to people's emotions. As much as we like to think that we buy solely on logic. We don't. Okay. Just if anybody wants to jump in or ask a question, you can maybe type it in chat. John, jump in if you want to just jump in and ask me something. I don't know how Jean would like to do this, being the chair for today. I'm happy to answer questions. So you can wait until I'm finished chatting, and then we can go through the questions, or we can ask them as we go along. So how do we build trust? Okay, well, the late Paul Walker said, okay, you need to make it as easy as possible for your customer to engage with you. So you need to believe in what you're doing and the brand that you represent, okay? So you need to remember this, okay? And I, to this day, and nobody has yet proven me wrong, and I've done this with thousands of people, people buy from people they like, okay? Simple. They buy from people they like. So it's you that the customer is buying from, okay? You are directly responsible for the experience that your customer receives. You need to believe in what you're selling, okay? Sincerity is the key. Obviously, you need to know your product, and enthusiasm. Be enthusiastic. It's contagious, okay? Is it something that energizes you? Do you honestly go in there? And this is something else I'm going to tell you, is that people have what I call a built-in BS detector. A lot of people call it your gut. Go with your gut. What is your gut feeling? Okay. So if you're there and you are faking it and you don't really want to help them, you don't really want to be there, they are going to pick up on that on a subconscious level. And you got to figure out, how are we going to be helpful? How can I help you? Now, Zig Ziglar is one of the greatest salesmen around. He always used to say, you can have anything you want in this world, provided you help enough other people get what they want. Okay? And this is something that top performers know. Okay? Because these days, yes, I know most salespeople, when we talk to them about selling on value, going, no, it's not about that. People want to know it's all about the price. Sometimes maybe, but if you can show them the value that your solution, that you bring to the party, they're much more likely to go on value. And we've proven this. I mean, we've done training with the Barlow World Group, and they sell massive earth-moving machinery, okay? So this is not just this is a couple of thousand or a couple of 100,000 rand. These are millions they talk here. And that's something, Caterpillar is not the cheapest brand, okay? But they add massive value, and we've showed them how to add more value to what they do. So as a top performer, if you want to go out there and really achieve, you've got to be valuable, okay? You've got to earn the right to sell to people, okay? And this is via human relationships. I'm sure you guys have heard before, teach, tailor, take control. So over here, we've got teach, you've got to offer insight or challenge. Okay, so teaching somebody, this is where you need to figure out about being a teacher. You've got to be able to show me, okay? And this is human again. This is where human knowledge and human behavior comes in. As a customer, okay, the biggest thing is, what's in it for me? How are you going to make me feel safe? And what's in it for me? How are you going to make me feel like I am the best person on the face of the planet for making this decision? Okay? So what's in it for me? And you need to be able to do that by offering insights, maybe even challenging the guys and asking the difficult questions. Okay? So before I move on, let's just talk a little bit more about rapport. Now, rapport, again, and one of the presuppositions we use in NLP or neuro-linguistic psychology is this whole concept of the map is not the territory. Okay, and basically what that means, I'll give you the high-level overview of this. From the day we are born, we start to learn what the world looks like. And we learn this initially via our parents, grandparents, caregivers, siblings. If we're off to nursery school or creche, we learn more. And as we go through life in our formative years, we build up a picture of what the world looks like, what's good, what's not so good. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? And this picture that we build up is in order for us to not have to process so much information. Can you imagine every time you saw something like, I don't know, piece of fruit, apple, banana, and you first had to go, okay, that's that, and it's that color, and yeah, maybe can I? No, okay, it takes too much time. So you build up these patterns, these frames of reference. So if somebody shows you a banana, you're going to go, cool, it's a banana. Okay, if it's yellow, chances are I can eat it. You do the same thing when you're driving your car. Remember in the beginning when you learned to drive, you had to think about every last thing. Where's the clutch? Where's the brake? Where's the accelerator? What do I do? Do I pull up a parking brake? How do I indicate? All of those things. Now, how many of you have left home and you get to the office and you sit, and once you're at the office, you think, how did I get here? Okay, that's your brain doing it for you. Your brain's figured it out. You don't have to think how to drive anymore. So your brain literally takes a whole lot of this serious thinking work you have to do, and it builds up these pictures. Where we fall down is that we assume that our map is the only map. And we automatically expect other people to have the same maps. And we fail as human beings and as salespeople, people in the sales environment, we fail to take into account that everybody's map is different. I go back to walk a mile in another man's shoes. Okay? If you learn what people are like, and if you learn what their maps are like, okay, then you can talk to them. You can talk to them on their level. They can feel heard. They can feel like you really care about them, because you do. I mean, you're not going to do this stuff if you don't care, okay? Really, if you don't care about your product or your customers, perhaps you should be doing something else. So just to prove to you very quickly, okay, am I going to put a camera on for this? I might put a camera on. There we go. Am I there? Oh, there I am. Look at that. Oh, Mrs. Watts's favorite radio presenter. I'm going to tell you guys not to do something. John, you're still with us on this. Okay. And I just want you afterwards just to maybe type in there. I know I'm going to be right, but I'm going to tell you not to do something. When I tell you not to do it, okay, so let me make it even easier for you. I'm going to tell you not to think about something. When I tell you not to think about it, whatever you do, don't think about it. Those are the rules, okay? The rules are very, very simple, very clear. I'm going to tell you not to do something. When I tell you not to do it, don't do it. Are we all clear on how the rules work? And throw a thumbs up there, those of you who know the rules, okay? I'm going to tell you not to do something. As soon as I tell you not to do it, don't do it, okay? Right. This is just to prove how our brains work. Whatever you do, ladies and gentlemen, right now, whatever you do, do not think of a purple spotted orange.
Okay, that worked out rather well.
How did that work out for you?
One purple spotted orange.
I told you not to do it. I told you not to do it. Okay. Now remember, we've just been talking about how your brain makes up these patterns and the way the world works. So purple spotted orange is outside of your map or your frame of reference. So the first thing you do is you have to go, oh crap, what does a purple spotted orange look like? And as we go deeper into this kind of training, eye patterns come into it. So you can literally, if I'm sitting in front of a class, I can literally see people doing what we call visual construct. Okay, they look up to the right and they're like, okay, what would that look like? So you make a picture. of what a purple spotted orange would look like. And then you go, okay, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Too late. It's done. Okay. And that is how we literally have these patterns. So what I want to do now is I want to play you a little something. This is an exercise, and I'm going to want some feedback from you guys. Okay. I call it proof of life. I'm funny like that. I'm going to play you something which exemplifies what rapport is, what it means to get into rapport with somebody, okay, and how the person does it. So in this video, the guy that I want you to focus on the entire video, but the main character, you will see him as he gets outside of out of a taxi, and he's about to walk into a venue, and then to see what he does. Now, this is also bringing into account something which we call visual acuity. Okay. So how much do you actually see? How much does your brain filter out? And the same can happen at sensory acuity in general. So with your permission, and I hope we've got sound here, we should have. I had sound when I was having a look around this morning. So hopefully I've still got sound. Where's my mouse gone? Okay, here we go. Okay, crank that sucker up. Should have full volume, hopefully. Please tell me if you've got volume. Thumbs up if you've got volume.
No volume, bud.
No volume.
No volume. Oh, there we come. There it comes. But it's a bit spotty.
Okay, sorry, I'll have to go back to it now. Let's try again, okay?
Didn't do your sublimation to the presentation cards this morning, David.
I did all sorts of sacrifices. I danced naked around standing stones. Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. One more time with feeling.
Still nada. Still nada, bud. There we go.
Giving it up on the Broadway stage. Hang with the rats and smoke cigars. Half break with drink and count the stars. Dressed to the nines from head to mouth. Shiny jewels, casino cash. Tapping feet, wanna take the lead. Dress back in diamonds, all I need. Gonna get back. Sing it out loud, away with you. Sing it out loud, on the red back. Sing it out loud, let's go through. But Kinesthetic is really hot and a little bit soft. We're getting us straight to maximum power. Flying away from reality. Whatever ever happened to gravity. We'll see it clear, couldn't start. I'm really good singing and da-da-da. Sing it out loud, from here back. Sing it out loud, get away with me. Sing it out loud on the red back. Sing it out loud, let it tell me yes. From here back, sing it out loud, get away with me. Sing it out loud on the red back. Sing it out loud, let it tell me. Golden cabaret, shaking sticks over the show, Russian joy from tip to toe, rambling down the boulevard with a fire burning in a wooden heart. My mind is set, I walk the line, but I never really thought it would feel this fine. Yeah, sing it out loud, don't live back, sing it out loud, get away with you. Sing it out loud, I don't have back, sing it out loud, let's go.
All right, let's do the camera thing again here. Okay, so that was, if some of you had it without the audio wasn't necessarily important. It was the guy's interaction. So let's start. Somebody, just somebody, tell me somebody who noticed what? Anybody? Going once, going twice?
What are you asking, Dave?
What did you notice? The guy walking in, how did he get into rapport? And who did he get into rapport with?
Pretty much everybody, I would guess. But he was picking out obviously characters in the advert, characters they'd chosen, and then he was mirroring what they do, I guess. Would that be the way to say it?
That's
basically mirroring them. Yeah.
That's one of the things. He was getting into rapport with the guy. So there was the pirate. Do you remember the pirate? What did he do there?
Gave him an eye.
Saluted him, gave him his eye back. The basketball players did a little bit of dribbling, made a shot.
Yeah.
Did you see the magician where he gave him the golden egg, he turned it into a bird? And at the end of this, okay, what happened? They were all dancing together. He even got into rapport with the band by grabbing the flute and starting to play the flute. Now, interestingly enough, this is a Heineken ad, and they had no intention of any of this ever happening. It was also a Heineken ad that really got great uptake from the public. If you want to download it yourself, it's the Asteroids Galaxy Tour, and then you can have a look at what is happening again, and you can look at it with fresh eyes. It's one of the best ways I've seen to describe rapport quickly and easily, okay? So how are we building this rapport thing that we're talking about? Well, we've talked about the map is not the territory. We've talked about walk a mile in my shoes. Okay, so step into that person's world. And I'm going to touch on something in a couple of slides' time, which is more than just traditional body language. Body language is good. We'll talk to you about how to do it. But we'll also talk to you about people's representational systems, okay? Or VAC, as we call it. So I'll talk to you about that. But right now on your screen, if you have a look in the middle there, that yellowy arrow says listen. Now, one of the buzzwords at the moment is active listening. Okay. And I just like to explain it as you've got 2 ears, 1 mouth, use it in that ratio. Okay. How many times? And be honest with me, when you meet somebody for the first time, you're so busy thinking up your answer and how you're going to introduce yourself and shake hands and tell them your name. Because what do we love talking about the most in this world? Ourselves. Okay? And I dare you to disagree with me on that. We love talking about ourselves given the opportunity because we love to be heard. So, questioning and listening. People will tell you whatever you want to know if you ask enough questions and if you listen properly. Okay? And another way of building rapport is use stories. These can be stories that happen in your own life. That can be stories in terms of what's happened in business, whatever it is that you need to do. Okay. Tim, who is the founder of the Sales Institute, you may or may not know him. Him and I have actually been friends for many, many years. And Tim is a which we'll get into just now, as I said, the VAK stuff. Tim is very visual. So Tim likes nothing more than slides and PowerPoint presentations and graphs and pie charts. They bore me to death. So we've actually walked into an office together, him and I, to do a presentation to a CEO. And Tim had the whole presentation sorted out. He was going to do his whole thing. And I walked in and I saw that the guy had pictures, photos on his walls, and I recognized some of those photos as being from the Kruger Park. Now, in another lifetime, I used to be what we affectionately were known as a Jeep jockey. So I was a field guide, and I used to do open vehicle safaris in the Kruger, hence me knowing some of those places, okay? And I said to him, geez, that's amazing. I mean, I know these are not commercially available photographs, but I'm guessing that's from the Kruger, that's on the, that's on that loop, and by a meaty sprite and whatever. And we started talking about this and uncovered this man's love and passion for the Kruger and for photography and wildlife. And him and I spent a large portion of that meeting talking about the Kruger and wildlife. And Tim didn't get a chance to do his presentation. However, we got the business. Why? Because I found something that he liked. I hooked him in. We talked about him. And whilst we were talking about the Kruger, we were throwing in the odd question. And make no mistake, Tim is incredibly, is probably like one of the cleverest people I know. That's why I call him the professor. So he picked up very quickly on what I was doing and just fell into that. And we ended up getting the business. Stories, walk a mile in my shoes are incredibly important. So focus on the other person, get them to talk about themselves, try and identify what is important to them, and then listen, okay? Be fully present. Have you ever had a fight with a spouse? Or no, I know we generally have them. I never fight with my significant other. And it's quite simple. The reason we don't is very early on in the relationship, we agreed, okay? She gets to make all the little decisions. I get to make all the big decisions. That's the way it is, cast in stone. And I mean, we're about 10 years down the track now, maybe. I could be more. And so far, I'm happy to say there has never been a big decision that's needed making. See? Got to laugh, but listen. Okay? If you're fighting with somebody, how often are you so busy trying to think about what you're going to say back to them that you don't actually hear what they're saying? And that's where it escalates and gets out of control. We sometimes, like, I think Tim calls it closing breath. We're so keen when we get in there to just get our presentation, do it, tell them how wonderful and fantastic and everything we are, that we don't bother to ask them what they want. What do they need? How can we help them? And then listen to their response. Okay? Vitally important. Okay, stories. Stories make people feel. Okay? Tap into their emotions. Why? Because emotions are what drive us, and it encourages people to act. All right. And now this is something that to me is very important. Okay? People are receptive when they are treated the way they want to be treated, not the way that you want to be treated. And again, this goes back to this walk a mile in another man's shoe. The map is not the territory. You know how you want to be treated, but have you bothered to figure out how they want to be treated? Okay? I've been into places where formality is this guy lives and dies on formalities and the correct greetings and handshakes, and he even had his desk up and his chair was raised a little bit so that when you sat in front of him, he got to look down on you. A skilled communicator knows when to take a step back. Just be quiet, listen, observe, okay? And align your style to the other person, okay? You need to recognize different personality types and you need to adjust accordingly. Getting back into the whole idea of rapport. So first we match, okay, and mirror, then we pace, and then we lead. What does this mean? Again, high level. I can spend hours just on this topic. Matching is have a look at what the other person's doing. Are they a very energetic person? Do they talk very quickly? And do they use hand gestures? And are they somebody who has a slow, measured tone and tends to pause and think before they continue. These are the things you need to be aware of, and you need to match that. But ladies and gentlemen, it's subtle. Subtlety is the key here. When I was first learning this stuff, I used to go out on a Saturday or a Sunday and go to a coffee shop, and I used to watch people, okay? And this is where you learn subtlety, because if you're not, you're going to get punched in the mouth, okay? Remember that when we were a kid and you were with your friends or your siblings or whatever, and they used to copy you, and you were like, don't copy me. And then they would also just cross their arms, and you would get so frustrated. That's not what we're wanting to do when we match. Now, once you have matched and mirrored people's body language, their pitch, tone of voice, how they move, what the energy is, then you can start, and this is a way of testing with you in rapport, to pace. And by pacing, say if somebody talks to you really quickly and they're a really quick talk and they're full of energy, and then you match all of that when you start talking to them, and then it's as you're going along, you slowly start just changing the pace of your speech and the way you speak. Okay, maybe if they're sitting forward in their chair and they're very attentive and they're looking at you, you can start to slowly lean back in the chair. Okay, that's called pacing. And once you test and see if they're in rapport and they're starting to follow you, then you get to lead. This, as I'm saying today, we got an hour. It is a huge subject, okay? In the trainings that we offer, we go into this in a lot more depth, the advanced communication and negotiation stuff. It's a lot, guys. It's a lot. This is just top-level overview. So here we go with something called, and you're going to get this mailed to you. So you're going to have this, okay? I often say if we're doing trainings and I bring this up, I say to people, just take a photo of this. These are called our representational systems. Okay. Oh, we've jumped around again. Hang on. I just wanted to go like that. And then I will get back to where I want to go here. Right. So you get predominantly 3 kinds of people. There's a 4th one that's just come out, which is called digital. But that isn't playing a major role just yet. The digital kind of person is going to come more to the front in the next 5 to 10 years. Right now, though, it's 3 primary modes of communication. People are either visual, or they are auditory, or they are kinesthetic. Kinesthetic, it's all about feelings and emotions. Kinesthetic, your emotions. So, for example, a visual person, they use a lot of visual words when they talk. Okay, they want to show you something. Come and see what this is. How does that look to you? Okay, they often need to see a big picture. Remember how many times people say, I want you to show me the big picture. Okay, they need to be able to create a picture in their minds. They tend to talk quite quickly, and they use their hands to help show people what they're talking about. They use a lot of visual words like see, look, big picture, things to do with vision. Auditory people tend to talk a little more slowly, okay, so that they can, I see we've got a spelling mistake, okay, so they can heart words. I heart words big time, but hear words, tones, sounds. That's what does it for me. It's like James Earl Jones could have sat and read the telephone directory to me. I would have been happy. I'm an auditory person, okay? They like to hear the facts. They like you to tell them things. They process through their words. Often they need to talk things through. I use a lot of auditory words, okay? Do you hear what I'm saying? Come and listen to this. Is this ringing any bells for you? Does it sound like a good idea? Those are the words that we use that if we are auditory people. Kinesthetic people, they tend to be a little more relaxed. They speak slowly. There's pauses between the phrases. It's gut feel, okay? Sometimes they make notes. They might appear to be quieter than other people. They like to hold things in their hands because texture is important, but they use a lot of emotional words, okay? Does this feel right to you? Okay, are you getting good vibes? I got a gut feeling about this. Now, this is a biggie, okay? We all have one predominant representational system or primary mode of communication. We all have all three. Don't get me wrong here. We all have all three, but one is generally predominant. Okay? Now, in an ideal world, if you've practiced enough, you'll be able to pick up very quickly whether somebody's a visual and auditory or kinesthetic person, and then you can adjust your language and your pacing. Okay, because if I'm an auditory person and you come and sit in front of me and give me 10,000 graphs, how excited am I going to be? How likely am I going to be to actually want to listen and take part in your presentation? I had to go and get taken to a presentation by a financial guy, and he was always talking about, how you can retire rich and happy and everything. And he had all of these graphs and telling me about compound interest and Sod's Law. I was in the first row. And when I get bored, which generally doesn't take long because I have ADD as well, I start to fidget, and I'm starting to fidget. Now my significant other who is with me knows the signs and knows that it generally doesn't end well. So I get nudged in the side, that look that says, shut up. And eventually I couldn't anymore. Eventually I'm like, I'm bored now. Okay, I'm bored. Can you just tell me, is there an audiobook about this available? What? Okay. And that's what happens when you're not talking to somebody in their language. But now, you guys that are just getting into this, you may not have the experience, the knowledge, the time to figure out what these representational or primary communication modes are. So what do you do to combat that? It's very simple. You combine all three. And if you are watching this back or listening back to it and you pay close attention, you'll notice that in terms of how I present and what I present, I cover all three of those modes. I do that in order to hook. We call it hooking somebody. So I do that in order to hook your attention. 99.9% of the time, before I bring this up and make it clear to people, they have no idea that I'm doing it. Okay. Normally when we're in a training environment, I say to the delegates, everything is training, and we do all of this stuff, and it's done in the way we present. It's done in the visuals we use. Everything is done to facilitate learning, to access. We use a lot of storytelling, so we're accessing various parts of your brain. You'll notice that we speak quicker and slower, and we do all sorts of interesting things when we are doing the actual trainings in person. So, summary of what rapport is all about. In terms of your initial contact, you need to reduce the difference, okay? Make less differences between us, okay? So how you greet your customers. It's about how you set up your relationship with them from the moment you enter their company, their space, whether it be in person, phone, whatever, okay? Rapport is what we need to acquire, that skill of gaining rapport so that we can get onto the same wavelength as other people. We need to understand their needs, okay? Too often we go into people and we assume that they know we assume we know what they need, okay? Sometimes they don't even know what they need. So you need to make sure you understand, what do they need? What do they want? Okay, do you have the necessary expertise to meet that need? And how are you going to make them feel safe? And that's also one of those very important things, okay? So basically, another way of putting it, rapport is how you demonstrate understanding and respect, okay? Behavior is important, nonverbal cues, values, keywords. What is their representational system? If you put all of this stuff together, this is what makes for truly great salespeople, okay? This is like, we're talking here, top 5%, is the salespeople and the teams that have literally implemented this kind of thinking. And this is what it takes if you want to be the best. If you want to be mediocre, it's easy. Everybody else is doing it. All right. What are the secrets of persuasion? This is generally where I play you a Robert Cialdini video. John, did the audio come through adequately the last time? I'm just wondering if I should play the Robert Cialdini or not.
I've got to say, from my perspective, it could be because of my link. I'm not working from my home today, so it could have been just me. I'd love to hear from anybody else who has had a different experience. But I reckon, Dave, go for it, mate. Let's see what comes.
Okay, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it, okay? If it doesn't work for you, you're going to get this mail to you. Everything will be embedded in it anyway. And if you can't hear, then just jump in. Unmute your mic and say, hey, or send a message to John. He's got all the messages that he's taking care of over there. Okay.
Indeed, I'm watching.
Researchers have been studying the factors that influence us to say yes to the requests of others for over 60 years. And there can be no doubt that there's a science to how we are persuaded. And a lot of this science is surprising. When making a decision, it would be nice to think that people consider all the available information in order to guide their thinking. But the reality is very often different. In the increasingly overloaded lives we lead, more than ever, we need shortcuts or rules of thumb to guide our decision-making. My own research has identified just 6 of these shortcuts as universals that guide human behavior. They are reciprocity, scarcity, authority, consistency, liking, and consensus. Understanding these shortcuts and employing them in an ethical manner can significantly increase the chances that someone will be persuaded by your request. Let's take a closer look at each in turn.
So the first universal principle of influence is reciprocity. Simply put, people are obliged to give back to others the form of behavior, gift, or service that they have received first. If a friend invites you to their party, there's an obligation for you to invite them to a future party you are hosting. If a colleague does you a favor, then you owe that colleague a favor. And in the context of a social obligation, people are more likely to say yes to those that they owe. One of the best demonstrations of the principle of reciprocation
Seems the sound has stopped on our sides, David. Tracy's also saying it stopped on her side. David, you're muted, mate.
I know. I'm trying to press buttons. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to move past this.
Researchers have
and part of what Cialdini talks about is those various laws. So when you get this presentation, you'll be able to see all of that. I don't have time to go into all of this now. So I think in terms of the power and reciprocity and all of those things, maybe John, you're our chair today. Do we we save that for another one? And do we do 5 minutes of Q&A?
I think that would work best for us right now. I love the nudge, though. You got to show them. You got to show us that you got a minute.
Oh, I knew you were going to ask about that. All right. So, what is a nudge? Okay, in terms of influence and how you influence people, a nudge is something that you just give people a gentle incentive to move in the direction that you require. And the story that we often share and communicate with people is Schiphol Airport. Okay, I have not been and personally investigated this. I believe Mr. Tim Keyes has, and he says it is absolutely true. But ladies, I apologize for this in advance, but in general, men's urinals are horrible places. Okay, horrible.
I can testify to that.
Schiphol Airport had this problem where it was costing them an absolute fortune in upkeep. Okay, I'm still of the opinion that a woman who had a problem with men invented the urinal, because nobody in their right mind would give a man a piece of white porcelain to pee against, because there's all sorts of physics that happen there. Okay. And also, we don't have the best attention spans. All right?
Yes.
So we get distracted. And that's a bad thing. All right? And people were really complaining. The toilets were dirty. They were smelly. People were walking out of there with damp shoes. It was horrible. And they had tried everything. Okay? They put up signs. They literally had people in there begging the guys to please just be straight. Okay? And nothing worked. And eventually they got in some very expensive consultants, and they came up with a brilliant idea. And it was the simplest of ideas. And it literally encapsulates the concept of this nudge in terms of the sales process. What did they do, you ask? That's what they did. They had tiny little stickers of flies printed, and they stuck them on the urinals. Ladies, this may come as a surprise to you, but men took one look at that, and what was the first thing that they felt compelled to do?
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it straight away. They peed on the fly.
They had to try and pee the fly off of the urinal. Okay, men do that. They've also been known to try and write their names
in the snow at least once. Let's leave it right there, mate. Let's leave it right there.
That's a nudge. And it was incredibly successful. And I believe there are still stick-on flies in toilets, in urinals rather, in Schiphol Airport to this day. Ladies and gentlemen, we've run out of time. It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege chatting to you. If I can stop sharing my screen now, let's see if I can get into this and go. Where do we go here? Stop. Did I stop sharing? There. I'm not sharing. Hey. So now I'm here. Now you can.
You and me.
Now you can see me. Everybody else, the crowd went home.
Dave, thanks so much for that, mate. As always, it's fun having you around. We look forward to doing it to you again in 3 or 4 months' time.
Absolutely.
I'd just like to say special thanks to Dave as our presenter today. I love the fly story and a few of the others. Yes, we've all of us, I think, at some point have seen the Heineken ad. I hope so. Anyway. I'd like to announce that the next alumni session will be on the 16th of July. Tracy will be our host, but we don't yet have a subject. But I promise you that the invitations will go out within the next week or two. I hope you'll all join us again for that. Yeah, great, guys. Thanks very much, David. Thank you again. Look forward to seeing you all soon.
Any questions? Or is everybody happy? Or are they all in shock?
I think everybody's in shock, mate.
Come on, one brave person. One brave person. Ask me one question. You see, these are all bots, dude. You acts have conned me. You got me to do an hour's worth of content, and I'm talking to bots.
Listen, I know a couple of these names, mate. Be nice.
Riolette, she's there because I got a laugh out of her. All right, well then, you know what? No questions. That's great. Yes, Alzan. It's the ladies. Always the ladies. The guys are out drinking beers already. But you know, have a chat to Tracy. This is something that the Sales Institute runs. We run courses specifically on communication and negotiation, et cetera. I believe Tracy's the go-to for that if you want to find out more information. For me, it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege. Thank you so much, guys.
Take it easy, David. Talk to you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, We'll see you all on the 16th of July, I hope. Thanks for your time today. Please remember to invite your friends, relatives, colleagues, bosses, whomever. This thing is free, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks so much for the time. Goodbye.
Cheers all.